Is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild overrated? Now let me preface this video with saying that I really enjoyed this game and put over 80 hours into it, sometimes playing for 6 hours at a time because I was so hooked. And binge playing a game like that is pretty rare for me. Hell, this game is the reason I actually bought the Nintendo Switch to begin with. Well, that and Mario Kart 8, but I'll talk about those in later videos. So you might be wondering, if you enjoyed the game so much, why are you complaining? My counter to that would be this. I've read a lot of reviews and comments about this game, people saying that this is the best Zelda game of all time, and a lot of people saying that this is the best game of all time. When a game starts garnering these kind of titles, it has to be looked at pretty critically, at least in my opinion. Obviously this video is just my opinion, and it's probably going to be a lot different from yours, but here are my thoughts on this game. First off, I definitely don't think it's the best game of all time, not even close, and I certainly don't think it's the best Zelda of all time. My main reason for the latter is because I don't really consider this a Zelda game. Sure, it has all the characters and locations and everything, but I think they went too far out of their way to try and create a new experience. And that's fine, obviously change is a good thing, and I applaud their efforts to try and create a new way to play. Majora's Mask was extremely different than Ocarina of Time. Well, in terms of game mechanics anyway. However, with Majora's Mask, it still felt like a Zelda game. So why didn't this feel like a Zelda game to me? Well, for one, the music. Zelda games are known for their amazing soundtracks. This game barely had any, and the music it did have was pretty underwhelming. Twilight Princess's music was pretty lame too, but I can give that game a pass because it hit the mark in other areas that I'll touch upon later. I know the reason they decided to cut a lot of the music was to increase the feeling that you were out in the elements, isolated. But I don't think they did very well in that area of the game either. I hardly felt like I was out in nature. It was just silent most of the time, with that annoying enemy music popping up every now and then. Great 90s movie, by the way. That and It probably have the most iconic storm drain scenes in the history of cinema. But wait, where was I? Another way this game came up short for me was the temples, or simply lack thereof. We only get 4 temples, and not only that, every temple looked the same and had the same kind of mechanics. They were insanely easy and lacking any kind of creativity. You could say that Majora's Mask only had 4 temples, well 5 if you want to include the castle in Akana Valley, and you would be right. The difference would be that all the temples in Majora's Mask were super different and actually pretty challenging. Each one was a different experience. Breath of the Wild, on the other hand, felt like the same temple over and over and over and over again. And I chose the 4 overs on purpose because there's only 4 of them. It's crazy. Twilight Princess had what, like 10 temples, each one different than the other? Inexcusable. Add to the fact that you don't even have to do the temples to win the game, and it just all seems like a crapshoot, at least to me. What's worse than the temple designs is the boss fights for the temples. Again, they fall victim to the same problem I had with the temples. Similar look and way too easy. Now boss fights in Zelda games are generally pretty easy anyway, but I would usually be challenged by at least a few of them. The only time I was genuinely confused was against the lightning boss. I don't even remember his name because he was so forgettable. But even then, I literally never died. I was just trying to figure out what to do while avoiding its attacks. Now I know the counter to my complaints on the temple count is that there are over 120 shrines throughout the entire world. So technically it's probably more temples than Ocarina, Majora's, and Twilight combined. And to that I say, I disagree. If anything, this strengthens my argument more. These shrines, again, all looked the same and didn't have any distinction from each other. I did all the shrines, so it's not like I didn't get the full experience. I did, and again, it was just underwhelming. These puzzles didn't make me feel satisfied. If anything, they just seemed like a chore. Especially the ones where you fought the exact same guardian over and over again. I find it hard to believe that the creators of Zelda had problems trying to come up with enemy designs, which brings me to my next point. This world is massive, easily the biggest open world I've ever played. But what does it amount to? Obviously nostalgia can account for a lot of this, but the worlds in Ocarina and especially Majora's had a lot more to offer. Breath of the Wild's world is huge, but it's all empty. I seriously believe that this game would have been more enjoyable if the world were smaller and they actually put more thought into actual locations. Going to the top of countless mountain peaks is fun at first, but when you realize that the only reason to really go to the peaks is to maybe get a Korok seed, it gets pretty monotonous. And what's riddled throughout the world, you might ask? The same type of enemy throughout. All of the enemies are practically the same. Sure, there are Hinox and Lynels, but again, those are interspersed all throughout the world too. So you're constantly encountering the same enemies wherever you go. Granted, they are colored differently depending on the climate of the region, but they are all the same. How about some variety? Starting to see a pattern here? My biggest problem with the game though is the ending. And this is a complaint that seems like a lot of people can agree with. If I put over 80 hours into a game, complete all of the shrines and other side quests, the ending better be fucking sweet. But no, You go through Hyrule Castle, which is about as memorable as a child's first birthday party, and get to Ganon. Immediately, half of his health is taken away, provided you completed all 4 of the temples, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to. It's a fucking Zelda game after all. So his health is halfway down and you beat him pretty easily. Honestly, by this point in my playthrough, I was still having trouble with Lionels, easily the most difficult enemy in the game. Remember the ending of Twilight Princess? Fighting 3 of Ganon's forms, each more epic than the last? Wouldn't that be great after such a massive game as Breath of the Wild? Well, fuck you. You get 2 forms, one of which has half of his health taken away. The second form? Some stupid bull thing. More like bullshit. I seriously don't think I took any damage throughout this portion at all. And it's not like I'm good at this game. Like I said, at this point in my playthrough, I was still getting my ass kicked by Lionels. It was just way too easy, and to be honest, pretty lame. So for the post-battle, you might think you get an epic cutscene. Remember Ocarina of Time being bittersweet with Zelda sending Link back in time, then playing beautiful music showing how the world has changed and everyone's celebrating? Did you like that? Well, fuck you. You get to see a minute of Zelda giggling on a mountainside, then credits over a black screen. What the hell? Also, why have half voice acting and half text on the screen? If you're going to do it, go all the way with it. But I digress. Again, you might not believe it, but I really did enjoy this game, which is why I am so hard on it. It had so much potential to honestly be the best Zelda ever, maybe even the best game ever. I just think it tried too hard to be groundbreaking and that they forgot what makes Zelda games so great to begin with. This is just my opinion though. If you agree or disagree with any of my points, then let me know in the comments below. I really want to know. Well, that's all I got for now. Stay tuned for future episodes by subscribing, I guess. I don't know how it works. Click the buttons down there. Bye.